This is a system I created years ago to take the equation, the dollar equation out, or take the dollar out of the equation. I don't like the dollar sign because it's a fear sign. Nobody likes that sign. And so we want to take money out of the sale. We want to make it an emotional and an educational sale. We don't sell anything. We educate our clients on the things they need, and once they know they need them, they buy them. So we don't sell anything. So the credit system is like this big in your head. It does take some acceptance and some understanding. Once you get it, it can make you a lot of money. It is an incredibly successful program. We've converted hundreds of studios over to it, and when you get it really good. So that's kind of the direction we're going, is we're gonna go through this booking of the session, we're gonna go through the creation of the credit system, how to do it yourself, and then all the way down to the sales appointment, what people buy, how they buy. Then I'd hopefully like to leave you a little piece on some fun charity stuff that I'd like to share. So let's get going. When do we address pricing? I think we kind of answered that before, because that question did come up, but we don't mind addressing pricing at the initial phone call, but we don't give prices. Clients often call and they say, I'd like to book an appointment, and we book a consultation. We never book a direct appointment. Everybody has to have a consultation. But if they're the type of client that says, well, can you tell me kind of how much things cost? What is a package? And we will then try to re-educate them on, as much as we'd love to tell you all of our packages, it's actually really much better for you to come in and have a consultation so that we can show you the different types of package structures. It's lunch, it's having fun. Package structures that we have. Now, some people, that's good enough. Other people, well, can you just kind of give me an idea, what does a package start at? Now, this is important. We never, ever state prices. My biggest mistake, and many of you, I know you're out there doing the same thing, when you're thinking packages or when you're thinking discussions on the phone, it's natural for us to always give the lowest price you have. Everybody does that. So if a client calls and you have a package that starts at $99 and goes to $2,000, if a client calls and says, can you tell me how much your packages are? You're going to say, they start at $99, because you think that's a good idea. That's a really bad idea. You have set the client's expectation at $99. When they walk in the door, they expect to spend $99 because that's what you said. Now, to take them through your price list to get them to $2,000, you have got a huge steps to make in order to get them up there. So first thing I want to tell you is, when you're addressing pricing, never ever state your lowest price. That's not where you want people to go anyway. We're going to talk later about how to establish what your lowest price can be. So when we address that person that's, can you tell me just how much a package is? We don't want to turn people off. We're not going to refuse that. But our answer, and this is important, is we answer it by the session type. Baby sessions, people spend less than family sessions. So let me give you a baby plan example. Clients calling about a baby plan and they really want to know the price, we'll say, typically our baby plan clients spend between $800 and $1,500. What's your budget? Now, do you see what I just did? I put it back on them. Now they have to answer the question. If I say $800 to $1,500, if they go, oh, okay, great, done, we're sold. If they say, oh, do you have something maybe a little less than that? We say, we do have packages that are actually a little bit smaller than that, but we really would want you to come in and have a consultation to address that. And then there's the third type of client that will say something like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and talk to my husband, and I will just give you a call back. And what are they really saying? No. Bye-bye. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. You know what? That is not your client. Don't fight for it. I also made that mistake of, oh, but you know what? I have a special going on right now, and if you just want to go ahead and book a session, it's a complimentary session fee and 50% off your order. And I made those mistakes because I thought that was money going out the door. By trying to force that client to come, it was actually time going out the door. And that was really important. So we don't mind addressing it on the phone call. We never state specific prices. We always give a range. If it's a family portrait they're booking, it would be very different. We would say, typically, our family portrait clients spend between $1,500 and $3,000. What's your budget? So, of course, that takes them to another level and another mindset, and if it's way out of their range, we're going to establish that right out of the gate. You all know your own pricing, so it's going to be different for you, but that's kind of how we do that. We do have an intake sheet. In fact, you have the intake sheet because you won the entire studio management, and somewhere out in the virtual world won that as well. Every sheet we use in our company, and there are hundreds of them literally, are in that book. So this is the intake sheet. This is an actual sheet that we go through with every single client that calls. And our rule is that every question on it has to be answered. Now, we're not mechanical. We don't say things like, hi, can you tell me your name, please? Great. What is it? You know, it's so fluid that you would never know we were working off a sheet. But the receptionist is having a conversation, and she's touching every point on here, including the ages, the birth dates, the children's, what they've heard about us, how they heard about us. Every single thing we know, from marketing, demographics, all the way down to anniversaries, if we want, is on this form. This tells us a lot about the client. It also prepares the sales or the associate that's going to do the consultation as to who they are. It actually saves time in that process because we have already established that relationship there. So this is very important. The intake sheet is very important to us because it gives us information. A proper consultation will give you the chance to educate your clients about everything from location, clothing, your final display, and pricing. And it allows you to build your relationship. And that's really the most important part. To me, all of those components are important in the session. But if a client walks into the session and I feel like they're my friend, it's an easier start than a complete stranger. As I said, I do not do my own consultations. I don't have time. All of my time when I'm home is spent shooting. I only work 4 days a week. I work Tuesday through Friday. I do 4 sessions a day. The rest of the time belongs to, I try to keep Saturdays for my family when I'm not traveling, Sundays for the guy upstairs, and Mondays is the prep time in my world. So Monday is the day that I try to run my business, and that's how I work. So when I have shoot time, that's all I do is shoot. If you can do your own consultations, I think that's better. But I think we have such an incredibly trained staff that I don't think the client feels a huge transition between the consultation and meeting me. And I have a very, I think, gregarious personality that we don't leave a lot of room for you to not get to know me. I come on pretty strong pretty quick. With the baby plan, I wanted to go back to this a little bit because I wanted to show you how when you're educating your client, in addition to sitting with them and talking to them, it is appropriate to have information for them to take home. We have a client packet. Yes, we do allow the price list to go home with a client. At that point, we've established pricing. And my opinion is this: when you have a conversation with a client and you're talking about what size portrait they want on the wall and you're talking about establishing that sale, the client might be looking at that and looking at your price list and thinking, okay, well, looks like I'm going to be around $800. They take that price list home and they mull over it and they lock their minds into $800. So now, by having that, they've stayed familiar with it. Now, when they come into the studio, we know we're at $800. We know it's easier to get them to $2,000. If we didn't send them a price list home, then they would have a conversation that they would forget. And then when they came back in, we'd be starting all over, basically. So not every client studies it, but a lot of them do. A lot of them want to kind of have an idea of what they do. So every type of session that we have literature for it. I know a lot of you have been to youcando.com, which is great, and signed up for that free catalog, which we'll give some more free stuff tonight. But we have things like this. This What to Expect guide is in the baby kit that I know a lot of you joined Sandy Putch University, and this is actually one of the things that you got for free in the baby kit. We want our clients to actually go home with more than just the price list. We want them to have some balance there. We want them to know what they're going to be doing. So with babies, to me, it's the most important because when a newborn comes in, mom is literally fried. She's just had a baby and tired. And so the things we're saying to her about the entire first year, she's not going to remember them, about what does a baby do at 6 months and what are they going to be doing at one year. So we give them an actual physical printed guide that covers the entire year. And it's so cute because, oh my gosh, they read it. I mean, they literally read it word for word. And just like, how new moms are, just like with it's like a checkbox. Get the stroller, get this, get the photographer. And this stuff becomes very important to them. In fact, we have suggestions for clothing in here at each stage. And I'll have moms come in, with a 3-month-old, and they say, okay, they have the little book in their diaper bag. They're like, okay, I got the diaper cover and the blanket, but I couldn't find a little silver rattle. Is that okay? And usually I'll say, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to work with you today. We do need this, I just kidding. But it's funny, they take it so seriously because we suggest like a silver rattle, or, we suggest these things. And some people come in like it's a list, like they have to have it. And of course they don't. We can work in any situation. So these little guides help us relate to the client and give them long-term information. If it's a family session, they're going to be sent home with clothing guides and everything they need to know so that we make this a smooth session. Now, Keeping in touch is something that we talked about before. We talked about the newsletters and how important it is. Every little piece along the way is a communication. We don't just see our clients once, we see them multiple times, and we talk to them even more. They make the phone call, they come in for the consultation. Just to get into the consultation, they've not only been sent we've called them and said, this is a reminder 3 days before their session, or their consultation, they're going to have it. We also email them, and again, these are all forms that we've created in our book that we email them and tell them, by the way, just a reminder, your consultation is this date. When they have the session, we send them a phone. We make a phone call telling them they have a session. We also send them an email reminder. Every single thing we do comes with email reminders and phones. When their order's ready, we make a phone call and we send them an email so that we constantly, when clients come in and they want to, when they come in and they want to book with us, if we ask for an email address and a client goes, oh, I really don't have one, the client that doesn't want to give it, we tell them that's fine, but we do almost all of our communications through email. We're going to send you a reminder for your session. We're going to send a consultation. We're going to send you a reminder for your session. We're going to send you a reminder when your order is done. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, this is for me. I'll do it because it's going to help me. Now we're collecting that data and that information. So it is important to keep in touch. In fact, baby session, I threw this one in here because this is a good example. Even though they had the book, and a good chunk of those clients hold on to the book, when they book their session, we book their 6-month session at the 3-month session. We book their 1-year session at the 6-month session, and so on. So we don't let them leave without booking the next session. But it's been a few months, so of course, when we call them and send them a reminder, we also send them an email reminder. And you can see, we try to pretty everything up. These are templates that we've created. There's a 3-month, a 6-month, a 9-month, and a 12-month session. So this is a nice little thing that we can send them. It says your session, what to expect. They're so detailed. What to do before your session, pack your diaper bag. This is a great session to order wallets. This is your session, and we even personalize it with the baby's name so it feels like it was written for their child. Your baby at 12 months. Here it tells everything a baby should be doing at 12 months. We do have parents that will call and say, my son's not walking. Should I reschedule? Yes, please do. You're going to get a better session. So this is, for as small as this is, there's every single thing. It's, as you know now, every question is answered there. So we don't have to do that. So creating templates and creating things like this, yes, it seems like it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. Because once it's done for the rest of your history if you don't want to update it. Now, do you really want to know how you're doing through this process? Do you want to know what your client thinks of you? Well, ask them. And this is also a really important piece of your business. I have learned more from customer service on our customer surveys than anything I've ever done in my business. Clients will be very honest with you. When I want good information, I'll tie in an offer to it. We have a customer service that goes out after the sales appointment. Usually the sales associate will give it to the client and they'll say, this is a self-addressed stamped envelope. If you don't mind filling it out and sending it back, Sandy is the only one that reads these. And it is literally a list of questions and they're basically a scale. So it's from poor to excellent service, because I want to know if my sales associates are doing the right thing. My photographers have those to give out to clients. And I don't make all of them do that. I know Helen's amazing. People absolutely love her. New photographers, when I'm training them, they are required. If I don't see those coming in the mail, I'm going to have a huge problem because I need to know what it is. And the stuff you learn is incredible. The stuff that you had no idea that you irritated a client or they were frustrated about, that's how you learn them. So at the sales session, we have one. The photographers, the newer photographers have one. And the delivery, when our orders go out, there's a nice little self-addressed stamped envelope in there with that form in there. And it says that only the owner of the company will see it, but we would just love to fill it out. Does everybody fill them out? Of course not. Typically, the ones that are a little frustrated with you are more likely to fill them out, and we do get some really beautiful letters where people actually sat down and took the time, because we put it out there, to give us incredible testimonials about what we do. But honestly, I would say 70% of them are the stuff we did wrong, and we do make mistakes, and most of the mistakes we make, we didn't even realize we made. So that's why these letters become so important. If you've never done it before and you want to institute it, The first time I ever did it, I sent a customer survey to every single client that I had in my database, and I said, I'm just trying to learn more about my business, and everybody that responds, at that time I gave a complimentary 8x10. Now, I probably wouldn't do it that way. I'd give a credit instead of, we talked about that, instead of an 8x10, but just to give you an idea, it was great to get a massive amount of those back and to get feedback. The questions were more global, like what are your concerns, what do you love, what would you like to see change, as opposed to specific where it's sales specific or shooting specific. So customer surveys are really great.